Welcome to the world where we teach you real English in an easy and fun way. We know that many English learners often have trouble picking the right verb tense for different situations. So in this video, we are actually going to show you that it could be easier than you think. We're going to show you the most efficient way to get that little bit closer to improve your grammar fluency and accuracy. Various studies claim that between 90 and 95% of all written and spoken English is done by using only 5 grammar tenses. So the majority of spoken and written English relies on just 5 verb tenses. So what we are going to do in this video is go through those 5 verb tenses so that you know when, how, and why to pick the perfect one. However, remember that in English there are 16 different tenses and every one of them has its specific purpose. But when it comes to everyday conversations, the 5 tenses we're about to explore are your essentials. So let's dive in and discover how each of these tenses can be your linguistic toolkit. Before we start, we kindly ask you to click on the subscribe button so you never miss out on our valuable content. It helps us out too. Thank you. So here we go. Tense number 1, present simple. The first tense that you learn in English is usually the present simple, and that's for a good reason. It's actually the tense that native speakers use in around 50% of all their written and spoken communication. It is used to talk about habits, general truths, permanent situations. If it's something you always do or it is a universal fact, go for the present simple. So for habits, I play football every Saturday. General truths, water boils at 100 degrees. Permanent situations, I work for the World Language School. There are some signal words or phrases that often accompany this tense, and they are always, usually, every day, etc. We also use the present simple to talk about the future or about scheduled events like plane and train times. For example, the train to Paris leaves at 5 p.m. That is a scheduled event in the future. Tense number 2, present continuous. This verb tense is used to talk about actions that are happening right now or at the moment of speaking. So for example, she is cooking dinner. I am recording a voiceover. So I'm talking about what is happening at the moment, now. We can also use this tense to talk about things that we think are temporary. Compare these 2 sentences. I work in Madrid. I am working in London this week. So in the first sentence, I work in Madrid, I use the present simple because I think this is a state and it is more or less permanent. But in the second sentence, I am working in London this week, I use the present continuous because the situation is temporary. I'll be in London only this week. Now, a useful tip to remember is to look for signal words or phrases that often accompany this tense. For example, now or at the moment. We also use the present continuous to talk about future arrangements. This means something that we are planning to do in the future. She is flying to Paris next week is a future arrangement. Is flying, which is the present continuous, shows that she has planned a flight to Paris in the future, so she has organized it and booked it. I'm meeting my friends at the park tomorrow. It is a future arrangement. In this sentence, am meeting, which is the present continuous, is used to indicate a specific arrangement that I have organized for tomorrow. We're having a party on Saturday evening is again a future arrangement. Are having, which is the present continuous, indicates that there is a planned party on a specific date in the future. Okay, so now let's move on to another type of future. Tense number 3, we have the future simple. So the future simple is used for future plans, predictions, quick or spontaneous decisions. I will call you later is a quick or spontaneous decision. so I decide while I'm speaking to you. It will rain tomorrow. It's clearly a prediction. I will meet you at the cafe at 3 p.m. tomorrow to discuss our project. Now this is a future plan. This is a little bit different from the future arrangements that we looked at when we used the present continuous, because you are deciding this at the moment you are speaking, and it is not really planned. Again, a useful tip to remember is to look for signal words or phrases that often accompany this tense. For example, tomorrow or soon. So we looked at the present and the future, and now let's look at tense number 4, the past simple. This is the second most used verb tense because we use it to talk about completed actions in the past and to describe actions that occurred at a specific time in the past. So actions that happened and that are finished. She visited Paris last summer describes an action that occurred at a specific time in the past. They finished the race talks about a completed action in the past. A useful tip to remember is to look for signal words or phrases that often accompany this tense. For example, yesterday, last year, last summer. So here we are at the last tense, tense number 5, the present perfect, which is often tricky for some students to use properly. We use it to talk about unfinished states or actions that started in the past. We also use it to talk about completed actions with relevance to the present, and for actions or events that happened at an unspecified time in the past. And last but not least, we use it for life events and experiences. I have lived in the city for 5 years. So here is the present perfect to talk about unfinished states or actions that started in the past and that are carrying on in the present. She has finished her homework, so now she can watch her favorite TV show. So here is the present perfect to talk about a completed action with relevance to the present. I've read that book. Here is an action or event that happened at an unspecified time in the past. She has traveled a lot. Here is a life event or experience. Present perfect can be a little bit complicated to use, but a useful tip to remember is to look for signal words or phrases that often accompany this tense. For example, ever, never, already. So here are the 5 main verb tenses used between 90 and 90% of all written and spoken English. Remember to look for signal words or phrases that often accompany these tenses, and now you can easily pick the right verb tense for different situations, present, past and future. That's it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope you learned something useful. Write in the comments if you use all of these tenses and which ones you find most difficult. Remember, mastering a language is all about practice and perseverance. So keep practicing, keep learning, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we grow as learners. And remember, as we say in English, practice makes perfect. Don't forget to subscribe for more real English videos. If you found this information useful, please give us a thumbs up. And as always, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please leave them in the comments below.